भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् अभिजातस्य भारत. Yesterday we had left at ahimsa. Ahimsa means oh yes, we did cover that. We did cross through that. Ahimsa means not arresting the progressive life of any living entity. One should not think that since the spirit spark is never killed, even after the killing of the body, there is no harm in killing animals for sense gratification. People are now addicted to eating animals in spite of having an ample supply of grains, fruits, and milk. There is no necessity for animal killing. This injunction is for everyone. When there is no alternative, one may kill an animal, but it should be offered in sacrifice. At any rate, when there is an ample food supply for humanity, persons who are desiring to make advancement in spiritual realization should not commit violence to animals. Real ahimsa means not checking anyone's progressive life. The animals are also making progress in their evolutionary life by transmigrating from one category of animal life to another. If a particular animal is killed, his progress is checked. If an animal is staying in a particular body for so many days or so many years and is untimely killed, then he has to come back again in that form of life to complete the remaining days in order to be promoted to the another species of life. So their progress should not be checked simply to satisfy one's palate. This is called ahimsa. Srila Prabhupada gives an all-inclusive definition of ahimsa here. You see, Prabhupada is giving an all-inclusive definition of ahimsa, not checking the progressive life of any living entity. Obviously, Srila Prabhupada elaborated on only the first thread of it, which is animal killing. Only the first thread of it, which is animal killing. And Prabhupada is explaining that because every animal is in its evolutionary cycle. So, if they have a certain number of days or years to live, and if they are untimely die, then they have to take the same body again. So it creates a disturbance, it creates a trouble in their evolutionary cycle. But in the same dimension now, one can go further, not checking or not arresting the progressive life of any living entity. So at the minimum level, ahimsa is about sensitivity. sensitivity. So our behavior should be such that no one is discouraged in their evolutionary progress towards Krishna. Everything in this world is actually arranged or geared towards one objective, and that is evolutionary progress towards Krishna. We will say Maya Shakti also acts in the same way. Maya Shakti acts for the same purpose, evolutionary progress towards Krishna. So there is misery in this world to teach one a lesson that there is misery in this world to teach one a lesson, not to remain in this material world. Rather, Lord Krishna speaks about that because of this perpetual flux of misery, the probability of the living entity to turn towards Krishna increases multifold, increases uh, manifold. It increases manifold. The probability increases. Therefore, Krishna is telling Artho Artharthi Jigyasu Jnani. So if you will see, all these material drives are geared towards uh, all these material drives or Maya Shakti's drives are geared towards increasing the probability of the living entity to turn towards Krishna. So agony, we are able to understand that material world is giving agony. And because of that artho, the tendency to one is thoroughly frustrated, no other shelter, one takes to Krishna. That's one. But even the other two platforms are like that. So in one sense, in the other sense, we can see material life or material energy uh, uh, fuels the material desires. The interesting thing about material desires is, okay, material desires will burn and bring a lot of agony. That is all fine. But there is another feature, characteristic of material desire. The other feature of material desire is that material desires uh, uh, material desires are mostly not no I mean material desires are such that they are more or less they are such which can never be fulfilled. So that means it's uh, because material desires go in such a, like say for example, person watching a movie and he feels, okay, if I can marry that actress, it'll be so nice. So or if I can get a girl like that actress or maybe that actress, like that, it's a desire. Or somebody is watching, okay, here is this he's watching a news that this person has made $1 million and he feels, oh, I should, if I can also make $1 million. So the desire comes very easy, but the fulfillment very difficult. More or less, the fulfillment is impossible. So, so because of that, so you see, because of that, again, the living entity's probability, because the moment the living entity is realizing that material desires are becoming unrealizable, then he will try alternate tracks. And thus his probability to come to Krishna again increases. That's why Artharthi. That's why Artharthi. And then the material energy is keeping the living entity in illusion. Now, illusion also serves a good purpose. Because of the illusion, the living entity is perpetually in ignorance and therefore jigyasi. That's the point. So, yes, illusion does serve the purpose of making the living entity sleep, But the sleeping living entity finds great difficulty in actually reconciling with the basic needs of life itself, and therefore that awareness is there with the living entity that I am completely empty, and therefore jigyasu is also a tendency which is fueled. So in one sense, we see material energy is incriminating punishment on the living entity, but in the other sense, the material energy is also uh, increasing everyone's probability, to uh, you know, uh, to come to Krishna. So there is evolutionary cycle. There is evolutionary cycle. There is evolutionary cycle which is existing, and our efforts should be to uh, not arrest anybody's progress in this evolutionary cycle. So we see that, so this is actually material energy, but now Krishna will positively get more further involved in a devotee's life to help him accelerate his progress. So Krishna may take away certain karma. Krishna may inflame certain karma. Krishna may do various ways by which will try to accelerate the living entity's progress towards him. Now, Krishna will try to accelerate the living entity's progress towards him in that way. So this is where sensitivity comes into picture. That actually the universal settings are working towards helping the living entity. So we should not create any negative impression on anyone. Negative impression of anyone. So at least we should not create a negative impression. So therefore, the our devotees, Prabhupada says, devotees profile starts from gentlemanly dealings. Our dealings should be extremely gentlemanly to whomever. Why? Because gentlemanly dealings create or ensure that nobody is getting a bad impression of Krishna consciousness, of devotees. So the basic uh, punchline, or the basic punchline of a devotee is, uh, these positive dealings, and therefore service attitude is a rock bottom minimum what a devotee needs to exhibit. Like we have one of our devotees, so he is a secretary to one of the directors of a big company, Electro Steel, and because he is personal secretary and he knows the finances, he manages the finances, he has very close contact with the director. So then we were trying to see or evaluate the possibility that if we can maybe uh, arrange a meeting so that we can tell this director about our services, so they can, so that maybe some funding opportunity, or maybe we can arrange a class, some class opportunity, some donations, or some program, in his company and all. So then when we were trying to attempt that, then he was informing that actually this person is favorable towards this con, but his wife, who is also a director, is not at all. And then why she is not at all favorable, why she is completely anti, and because of that, any positive effect gets dampened. Any positive effect gets, why she is not at all favorable? That all happened because of one time visit to an ISKCON temple. where she found that she was not given a proper treatment, and therefore she has made a decision for life. So because of that one time treatment, uh, there is a full on blockage, to enter that particular company, or to get a good amount of funds, or so. And the husband, although he's favorable, but then his all his efforts are dampened because this lady has formed a very strong opinion. So so actually, as devotees, we have to be extremely sensitive that any person who is coming towards Krishna should get a very good impression, because impressions is what can help people in their evolutionary path. Any positive impression we are investing in people, it will over the integral prove or come out in a big way to help them in their progressive journey towards Krishna. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is compassion. So when we are saying compassion, then we are positively helping people in the evolutionary thread. That is preaching. So preaching is actively, positively helping, and sensitivity is not actually no, arresting. So both are included in the definition of ahimsa. So now it is very important to understand that while we are preaching to one set of people, we should not anti-preach to the other set. That means while we are sometimes uh, so sometimes what happens is that okay, we'll end up making 10 devotees, but in the course of making 10 devotees, we'll end up making 20 non-devotees. Then it is problematic. Or 20 people unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, or antagonistic, or very averse to Krishna consciousness. So, and then now these 20 people are going to create havoc in our further preaching, etc. So therefore, in our preaching, our attempt should be that whoever wants to go at whatever pace, or they just want to do a little bit and move on, everyone remains at a very positive note. Everyone remains at a very positive note, and one should take extraneous steps to do that, because we have no right to arrest anyone's progressive evolutionary life. So we intervened in their life with the placard of spirituality. Because we have intervened, at least we should not create a debit. This is not. So because we have a placard of spirituality, at least there should not be any debit from our side. If we can credit, that is fine. That is wonderful. If we cannot, at least there should be no debit. Is it not? So uh, uh, that's why in follow-up and teaching, the basic minimum punchline is one should be very friendly. So even if a person is reciprocating less, at least we should have a friendly behavior with them. So whenever we meet them, they are encouraging, friendly, positive. That is the basic minimum thing which we should have with everyone. Yes. Hmm? Anji? Oh. Okay, so question is, what about, okay, it is said that one should kill the snake on seeing Vrishchika Sarpahatya. What about mosquitoes and what is cockroach? Should we kill them or not? Because they create trouble. So, mosquitoes, cockroach, rat. Ah, actually, Prabhupada had explained one time that uh, uh, and actually these all these living entities they breed where where uncleanliness is there. They generally breed in an atmosphere of uncleanliness. So therefore, so that is a thread which we can take actually, which is better to take. So that if we keep the atmosphere clean, then these living entities will not be there. So cockroaches exist because of cockroaches and rats come because of food not being cleaned and here and there spilled over. So uncleanliness, or racks are never not cleaned for months, so then their eggs germinate and all that. That's one main thread actually, where these people come from. Where these people come from. So it is better to take that alternative. Like it was we had a lot of rats in our place, so we were evaluating alternatives, but the alternative which we decided to work on was to probably just get a rat trap and then take the rats far off and leave them. Hanji? Rat is also problematic. Similarly, cockroach also breeds because of uncleanliness. If we are storing luggage, not moving it for months. So I believe it is the cleanliness is a drive where we can work on. So and as far as mosquitoes are concerned, it is better to so mosquito net can be used. That's all fine. Mosquito net can be used. You know. So why not resort to a mortine or a hit in the first go only and just see that nobody enters. The point is that every activity we do creates a mental impression, and the problem with this drive is that these mental impression will not remain where it is supposed to be. like uh, like it is just exactly saying, it is just like saying, actually it is not, it is just like saying that okay, it is a very cold country, it is minus 20 degrees centigrade, let me drink a little bit of wine, or one may say beer, let me take a little beer. What is the problem with beer? No, beer is not very intoxicating. The problem is it won't stop there, because it creates an impression, and that impression will start a thread of will slowly integrate to start a thread of insensitivity. So better one is careful. Means better, no, one need not. Uh, uh, so better one is a bit careful actually. Now, so in general, if the surroundings are very clean, then the mosquitoes will not breed actually. Now, uh, in general, the mosquitoes will not breed there. So now, in terms of our place, because of the drain thing, the mosquitoes are breeding. So probably we can try other alternatives. Say, for example, we can take initiative of chlorination of the drain time to time. It will take some money. But at least we are not engaging in head-on direct killing. So uh, 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 Yeah, so my honest and earnest feeling is not to resort to, strong, violent ways, because it creates a thread. Why to have that thread of insensitivity? Alternately, we can search ways. No, rather than saying that, okay, if anybody enters my territory, I will kill them. If we are able to find out a route why they are breeding, probably the route is a place where we can work on. Maybe we can invest some regular money to see that even outside our geographic premises, also the surroundings, if we see some hotspot, epicenter, maybe we can work on cleanliness there also. Because Bhumi is Krishna's property, so it doesn't matter, is it not? And anyways, we get affected by it. So maybe we take proactive measures, cleaning the drains outside as well. Uh, uh, there can be some, I mean, that is positive. I think there is something, there are other things which are like mosquito repellents also. There, no, so uh, we don't use all outs in general. We only use all outs in extreme situations when we have some first year immediately, and he has to be taken care of. But otherwise, in general, we don't use. Where do we use? Where we don't have any threat to work on. Okay, we can give the logic of viruses, bacteria, and but you cannot extend that logic, because if you extend this logic, you can justify even terrorism and jihad, because there is no end to it. No, that is the point. So you see, this is every living entity's individual decision. To uh, So now if we say that, okay, if I am defending my life by killing a mosquito, will karma come or not? Karma is going to come. Karma is going to come. No, karma is going to come like that. Now, if we want to, okay, take responsibility of that karma, move on with that, fine, that is fine. But if you ask me, my honest feeling is, uh, when we see an explicit living entity, which has a shape which we can perceive with our senses, uh, I would not like to go for a killing uh, in any circumstance whatsoever. So, but if one doesn't want to draw this line, one wants to relax that boundary, that's fine. That's an individual decision. But the principle remains. The principle remains. Yeah, bacteria and virus we cannot see also. I mean, there is no other recourse actually. So, but in general, we take a recourse also there. In general, it is said, okay, don't rely on medicines. Lead a healthy lifestyle so that you are not infected at all. Increase your immunity like that. So that in the first place only these people don't enter. But they have entered, the disease is there, and what can be done? We have no other alternative like that. But at least those are invisible living entities, and we really don't know. Virus, there is a big question whether life exists in a virus or not. And so, Hanji? No, but whether virus is a living entity or not, when I studied biology, there was this big debate going on that time. Huh? So whether virus has a soul or not, is a life form or not. But actually, you see, the point is that now, if you see the lines of Ayurveda also, the directions and principles of Ayurveda from a principle point of view, no, are also talking or focusing more on prevention rather than cure. And therefore, you see, Ayurveda is not at all symptomatic. Ayurveda is not at all symptomatic. Ayurveda is holistic. If you see that approach, so that approach is also giving a pointer that go at avenues where you can work towards immunity. Then the virus will not enter itself, the bacteria will not enter itself because there is immunity at the first place. So, but yes, if one lands up in a predicament, that's fine. Therefore, a devotee has to be very, very responsible in saying that, okay, I am, there has been just for, therefore the Shastra is saying the human life is very, very responsible. A devotee should also be very, very responsible. That yes, just existence or surviving in this world, there is jiva jivasya jivanam principle. To some extent, there is a good amount of sin which has been performed. There has been a lot of living entities whose rights have been crushed upon just because we are existing and we are alive. Just because of that, we are creating a space in another person's uh, you know so it's very simple. We are in this body, we are taking charge. There are, every cell has a soul actually, and out of millions of cells there is only one person who has got the charge of the entire body. So how responsible should we be in our Krishna consciousness? That's the point. Otherwise, there are millions of cells in the body. Any soul could have actually been given the opportunity. There are so many millions of ghosts, hovering around in entire Bhuvarloka and all, who are wanting bodies actually. So why are we occupying this body? That is why the point is there that okay, I am occupying this body. It is actually encroaching upon rights of of many living entities actually. So let me be a very sincere and serious devotee. Let me be a very serious and sincere devotee. So that consciousness is there. So that means that even if we are accepting whatever we are basic minimum accepting, the principle is always that we accept that with a repentance. That okay, I actually never don't want to create trouble for any living entity. No. Therefore we should only eat prasad. Why do we only eat prasad? So that all the cells in the body, all the souls get benefited. Is it not? Therefore, wherever we go, we do Sankirtan so that anybody, everybody there, gets benefited. Not like that. So, in terms of what we are accepting, now, so yes, there is no absolute zero. There is some amount of violence which is always there. No, but principles are telling us keep it the minimum, and whatever violence you are accepting, be remorseful about that and use it to become, and compensated in that sense. The repentance is to become more and more serious in Krishna consciousness. That's all. Now, so where, how hard a line to draw, it's up to us. It's up to an individual, like that. Because that is where that Krishna is there in every atom. But does that mean that our body contains multiple souls? Yes, our body contains multiple souls. Every cell has a soul. So I have heard from senior devotees, every cell has a soul. I think Prabhupada speaks somewhere as well. Prabhupada's one lecture we had heard that time, right? I did not, one of the conversations Prabhupada was speaking also, the same point. Yeah, so I did not make note of it and kept it because I was, but I think we had heard one lecture was there, proper, in the same conversations, 89, 92, the same conversation set. Uh, yes, that's what you said, that you cannot avoid sin. You have to practice Krishna consciousness. If you want to be clean sheet, you have to practice Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, even if you are good, you are not good. That principle is there. That principle is there. That principle is very much there actually. Anji? Yes, yes. Just by putting fire, just by walking, you are killing many living entities. That doesn't mean we stop walking. There is a quota which is sanctioned for us. Over and beyond that, indiscriminate killing should not be there that way. So, so yes, we have to draw a line. Is it not? How hard a line to draw, that's up to an individual's decision, like that. But definitely, whatever we are accepting, for that also karma is there. It's not that karma is not there. Is it not? We are lighting fire, living entities are getting killed, we are getting karma. But that karma is less. The more and more consciously we are engaging, the more and more karma will come, like that. That is it. But even so definitely, if the question is that if we are killing virus and bacteria, will karma be there or not there? It will be there. Sinful reaction will be there for that also. Antibiotics we are taking, we'll get sinful karma for that also. But that is unavoidable. And therefore, at least one should take responsibility that let me end this material life so that I don't kill, go on killing bacteria body after body. Is it not? That way. Okay, the same principle is applicable for ants. We have seen that if we actually, if ants are there, we broom them off, so then we are not killing them, and then in that place we put a Lakshman Rekha, then they don't come. Like it repels, but maybe that the smell that will have a particle of that. One thing is that when we put water, the ants don't die by water; they get unconscious. This is what I had heard. So that's one thing. Once there was a washroom there, and they didn't want that those ants get drowned also. They told that because the drain is like money. No, in drain they may die because there is water everywhere, but little bit water is there, they go in the ground, then they won't die. They just get float like that. That is there. So yeah, so if Lakshman Rekha is killing the ants, maybe we can try out some alternative. Maybe they don't get killed. They get repelled, but they don't get killed like that. We should use alternatives which help in not killing. Is it not? So if we broom them up very nicely and put a Lakshman Rekha, they don't come near. That point is there. But if they are there only, then they will try to come back. But if you have broomed very nicely, and sometimes anttails and all start appearing when we don't do regular brooming. If this is a daily brooming, no, that also is again. I mean, the ants will not get much this thing. So basically, we should try. Honestly, earnestly, whatever maximum we can from the core of our heart, we should try, and we should pray for all these living entities as well. We should try and pray. Because the softer we keep our heart, the more conducive it is for Krishna consciousness. The harder we keep our heart, the more difficult it will be in the progressive journey of Krishna consciousness. So that's the point. I mean, so we try our best, whatever we can. That. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj and Bhagavad Gita ki jai.